Hey guys, welcome back to my beauty stash, or welcome if it is your first time here. Hello, my name is Steph. I would love to have you as a subscriber, so be sure to click on that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy watching. Today's video is all about the brand new collection from Lunar Beauty, and this is the Outer Dimension collection. I didn't pick up every single thing that was released in this collection, but I did get a few items, the palette being the main thing. Now, in case you're unfamiliar with Lunar Beauty belongs to this guy right here. This is Manny MUA, Manny Gutierrez. He is the beauty influencer here on YouTube and the proud owner of Lunar Beauty. Guys, I can honestly say that I've tried just about every single Lunar Beauty release and I have yet to be disappointed with any of their products. They are a very consistent brand, a really cool indie makeup brand that I think is worth checking out. Let's dive into this palette really quick. I do go into detail during the application portion of the video, but you are getting 10 shades in this palette. It does retail for $49 on the Lunar Beauty website. This is the moon side of the palette. So this is gonna be your bronzing and contour side, and then this side is the sun side of the palette, and this is of course going to be the brightening and highlighting. Now there are no shimmers in this palette, so don't worry about that. Everything is matte, and the shades that he included in this palette are neutral shades. He did say he wanted to get a nice mixture of warm and cool shades. That way everybody could find themselves within this palette. This palette is intended for the fairest of skin tones all the way to the deepest of skin tones, and this is a palette that's meant to be mixed and matched. I will have Manny's reveal video linked in the description box of this video in case you want to get some more in-depth facts on this particular palette. He's the creator, he knows it all. Best to hear it from him than from me, because he's the one that spent a couple years designing this palette. This one is made in the USA, unlike Moonspell Volume 2, which was manufactured in the PRC. So let's dive into this, guys. I'm going to take you through the application portion of the video. I'm going to show you how I use every single powder that is in the palette. I have it all on my face right now. I'm going to be wear testing this as well, since it is the morning when I'm applying the palette. I thought, let me just do a wear test. Let me wear it throughout the day, see how it goes. And then I will of course do a midday check-in and then a final check-in at the end of the day so that you can see what the palette is looking like after 10 hours of wear on my 39-year-old normal to oily skin. Before I begin all that, I will insert some swatches that I did of this palette indoors, both with and without flash, so that you can see how the shades are going to look on a fair to light skin tone. Now, I also want to mention that there were some other items released within this collection, and I have them right here. They include this nice card in the box, but these are the face brushes that they released, and they also released some lip glosses. I actually ended up getting this bundle option right here. So the palette and the brush, I want to say they were $54. This is a dual-ended brush, this side being for the bronzer slash contour, and this side being for the brightening shades. It says Lunar Beauty right there. I had never tried their brushes, so I definitely wanted to pick up a couple of them. I also picked up this one. This is the LB4. This is for cream products. Of course, you can use it for powder as well. And then I picked up this angle brush, which I'm using for blush today, and this is the LBF3 brush. So very excited, very happy to be welcoming these new Lunar Beauty products into my stash. Now, I will have the Lunar Beauty website linked in the description box of today's video. That is not going to be an affiliate link, but some of the other links that I include to the other makeup products that I'm wearing might be affiliate links. So if you do end up purchasing, I thank you so much for supporting me and my channel. All right, guys, so let's get the show on the road. If y'all want to see the new Lunar Beauty Outer Dimension palette in action, keep on watching. Alright guys, so very excited to be diving into this Outer Dimension palette today. So we have the moon side over here, which are the darker shades, and then we have the sun side, which of course are going to be the highlighting shades. Now you could easily use any of the highlighter shades to set concealer, to set your foundation. I typically don't use these types of powders to set my under eye area or to like set my T-zone, for example. I am a normal to oily skin type. So what I've done in my T-zone, not so much around my mouth, but a little bit under my eyes and especially on my nose and right here on my forehead, I went in with this one already from Urban Decay, and this is the All Nighter Loose Setting Powder. But I'm going to be using a couple of these powders just to lightly place under the eye area to brighten. Okay, and of course you can brighten like the bridge of your nose, you can brighten the center of your forehead, your chin, just whatever you want to push forward into light. Now, of course, the moon side of the palette, this is going to be your bronzing slash contour side of the palette. You do have different tones in here. Now, what Manny said in his video is he wanted this to be a very neutral toned eyeshadow palette, the perfect medium between cool and warm. That way, depending on your skin tone, you can kind of maneuver the powders as you wish to get the desired shade that you want. And that's why you see different tones in here as well, different shades in here. So for me, what is recommended for me and what is on this amazing card that they included, so this is the side with the moon and how to use each powder. Like it even gives you a brief description of what shades will use what powder. You don't have to stick with that. I mean, you experiment as you want. And then on the opposite side, it's the sun side, and it tells you exactly what shades to use depending on your skin tone. Again, you can mix and match them. That is the whole point of the palette, to contour, to bronze, to brighten. So what I'm going to start with first, I'm going to leave the sun side of the palette towards the end. And so what I'm going to do first is I actually have 3 brushes that are here. This is the one that came with the palette, the little pack up that I got. So this would be the side for bronzing and contour, and then this would be the side for highlighting. I did pick up their cream brush. This is the LBF4, and it's designed for cream-based products. So I do have a cream bronzer here in front of me. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Bronzer, and the shade that I have is Amber. Really, really have been enjoying this bronzer. So I'm dipping in here with the brush, and I'm just gonna go in and bronze as I normally would. I don't usually contour. Now, I don't usually contour my face, and for me, I think that the shades that are in this palette are definitely more bronze leaning, at least for my skin tone. So I would definitely just be using this as a bronzing palette. And then of course you have those lighter shades where you can highlight and set even. Okay, so I do like the way this brush is applying the cream bronzer really well. And it's the perfect amount of density. Like it's not super soft, but it's not super tough either, to where it really just helps the cream products to blend seamlessly. And you can kind of like stipple, and then you can buff, whatever motion works best for you. Love this bronzer. So I'm going to take the bronzer a little bit right here just to kind of act as a base for the powders. I did not set the perimeter of my face. And I mean, I went in really, really lightly with that Urban Decay powder just because, you know, I have oily skin primarily in my T-zone, and I just like to have something that I know is going to be oil absorbing. These powders that are in this Outer Dimension palette, they are not going to be meant to like combat oils. And actually they're infused with vitamin E and C to help nourish and hydrate the skin. So yeah, if you're a normal to oily skin type, I would use these powders the way I'm going to use them. Just go in with your traditional way of doing your base makeup, and then these are just going to enhance the overall appearance of it. Now, since I put powder already on my nose, I am not going to be adding any cream products to my nose, so we're going to really rely on the shades in the palette to act as a bit of a contour for my nose. But okay, I don't want to go overboard with the cream products because I really want to just use the powders that are in here. So now I'm going to go in with this side of the dual-ended brush. This is the side meant for bronzing and contour. So the two shades that are recommended for me are these two at the top. And personally, those look really, really light for me. I do like to have some warmth, and I want the warmth to be seen. So I think what I want to do is I actually want to mix these two together, okay? But first, before I do that, let me try this one on its own. This one is called Bronze Sky, and you can see the names are just right here. Tapping some off. Just gonna place that. We'll do this one up here on the forehead. Now there's no shimmer in these shades, which I think a lot of you will appreciate. I know there's a lot of people out there, they don't want any shimmer in their bronzer, in their blush. I get it. But this is actually providing some nice warmth. Like the cream and the powder together, really nice combination. Okay, now I'm going to dust off that brush and I'm going to pick up a little bit of this shade. Let's just see what this shade is going to look like on its own. Okay, so you can definitely see has a lot of pigment, a lot of payoff. So I'm going to add this one first. Yeah, that's definitely warmer. So if you are of a fairer to light complexion, such as I am, go in very light-handed. Take a little bit for the other side. I'm like barely dipping in there. You can see like the payoff. The brushes feel really nice. A good little weight to them. They don't feel cheap. I haven't tried the eye brushes yet, but I will. Now I know a lot of you out there, you have his blush palette, which was a 6-pan palette. I have not picked that one up yet, but a lot of people seem to like that one. So I believe it is the same type of formulation. This palette was made in the USA versus the Moonspell Volume 2, which was made in PRC. He went into detail about all of that in his video, so I'm definitely going to have that video linked in case you want to hear it directly from the creator himself, Manny MUA, about the process of making this palette. But of course, it is more cost effective to manufacture in the PRC versus here in the US. This product has been in development, I think he said, for 3 years maybe. So there was no way that he could, you know, have it made over there since everything was going on already over here. And he did say that he ordered small amounts. So if it does sell out rather quick, which I'm not sure if it's still in stock or not, that's why, just because the quantity he ordered had to be smaller since it was more expensive to manufacture here in the US. But okay, I like that. I like that a lot. What I want to do, I want to go over it with this very light shade right here. And I'm just gonna stamp that all over. And it'll help to diffuse anything that I went in maybe a little too heavy-handed with. Now, those of you that are very, very fair, this might be enough. This might be all you need. But for me, that I have a little bit of a warmth to my skin tone, I don't mind. I want the bronzer to really show up, you know? All right, so that felt good. That looks good. Okay, now I know this side of the brush is intended for highlighter, but since it is a smaller side, I'm gonna use it for nose contour, and I'm gonna go back in with this shade, and I'm just gonna run it right here. I'm gonna do a little bit right up here. You do a little bit right here. I also like to do a little bit right under my lower lip. Okay. So yeah, I think this looks really, really good. Really nice. Very easy to apply, very blendable. Nice, nice. So now we're gonna dive into the highlighting powders. So I think what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna go in with this one right here. This one is called Bright Sky, and I'm gonna use that underneath my eyes. And I'm just gonna press it. And take a closer look. Oh, that looks nice. That looks nice. Now I'm also gonna add, let's see, I'm gonna add a little bit of the white. Right here. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in with Pink Sky. I'm gonna add some right up here, right there, right here, right in this area. I'm gonna go back in with Bright Sky. I'm gonna use that down here. All right, guys, so this looks really, really good. No complaints. Now, what I want to do, since I do have some unused shades, I'm going to do an eye look really quick using some of the shades that are in the palette. Refer 15 and Tan Sky in the crease. Refer 14 with Deep Sky in the outer corner. Sigma E27 and Peach Sky. Placing that on the lid. Refer 13 and White Sky in the inner corner. Refer 26 with Dark Sky on the lower lash line. Refer 26 with Yellow Sky right underneath Dark Sky on the lower lash line. Adding a little bit more of White Sky in the inner corner, and a little bit of White Sky to the brow bone. All right, guys, so quick little eye look. I wanted to use all of the shades in the palette today, and I did that. So I'm gonna be wearing this face of makeup for the next 10 hours. And then of course I will come on at the end of the day to give you guys my final thoughts. I am gonna add a little bit of blush and a little bit of highlighter. I'll do that later off camera. I did wanna mention that the eyeshadow primer I used was the ABH eye primer. Wet n Wild Breakup Proof liquid liner on the top lash line, some Thrive mascara. Love that mascara. And a little bit of my new AOA Studios gel liner in the shade Black on the lower waterline. Love this nice neutral all matte look. Everything from this new Lunar Beauty Outer Dimension palette. I will be back later. I gotta head off to work, but I will see you guys during my lunch break for the first check-in of the day. Hey guys, I wanted to quickly just show you this midday check-in on how the bronzer, the highlighting powders, how they're wearing. I have been wearing a mask on and off throughout the day. I did want to show you that I went in with this new cream blush from Beautyblender. This is their Bounce Blush, and this one is in the shade Cheeky Pink. And I did use this other brush that I picked up from this little Lunar Beauty haul. This brush is the LBF3 brush, so it's intended for blush. This is a cream product. This brush applied it perfectly, no issues. But look at my eye makeup. I'm really liking this palette for the eyes as well. This is an all matte look, and I think it looks fantastic. It's like a quick one and done palette. So far, everything's good. No cakiness. Nothing is like breaking apart. Everything seems to be wearing really nicely. And I will come back once I get home from work and give you guys my final thoughts on this new Lunar Beauty Outer Dimension palette. Stay tuned. All right, guys, 10 hours later, and this is what my face is looking like after using the new Lunar Beauty Outer Dimension palette. I have to say, I definitely still see a nice bronze to my skin where I set down the brightening powders. I think I still look bright in those areas. But more importantly, this palette did not cause any funky texture. I didn't get any cakiness. I didn't get any creasing or cracking or anything like that. What I got was smooth skin, and that's exactly what I want from a powder. Sometimes powders, especially in this area, can cause a funky, weird texture on my skin. I'm 39 years old. I have normal to oily skin, but this area right here in particular, that's where I seem to get cakey upon initial application of powder and or concealer slash foundation. That's how I know if all those three are gonna mesh well, by how it looks right here under the eye area. This palette did fantastic. Now remember, I did set down a little bit of the Urban Decay Translucent Loose Setting Powder to set my concealer. That's just the way I do my makeup. I usually don't rely on these types of powders to set my concealer, but you could most definitely use one of the brightening powders to set your concealer if that's something you want to try. Now, I will say that the formulation of the powders is so silky smooth, so lightweight. I seriously see this palette working for oily skin types, normal skin types, combo, dry. I don't see this accentuating any texture. Now, the moon side of the palette, which is the bronze slash contour side, I enjoyed working with it, and I used every single shade in this palette on my face today. You guys saw me bronze up my skin, brighten up my skin, and then do an eye look with some of these shades that are a little too deep for me to use as a bronzer slash contour. So if you're wondering, well, Steph, I don't know about this palette. I don't know if I'm gonna use all of the shades. You can. You can if you end up creating an eye look with them. If you're of a lighter skin tone, do what I did and use the darker shades for your eyeshadow look. If you are of a deeper skin tone, you probably will be mixing and matching all of the shades because that's how he intended the palette to be used. For you to mix whatever shades you feel you need in order to get a nice bronze moment, a brightened moment. And most definitely, don't be afraid to mix the powders together because that is their intended use. Now, as for the brightening powders, I thought they were really nice. I primarily will use these two powders under my eye area, on the high points of my face, maybe a little bit on the center of my forehead, a little bit down my nose, on my chin. These are going to be the brightening powders for me and my skin type. And then of course the white, we can all use the white on the inner corners the way I did today, a little bit under the eye area to definitely brighten things up even more. But it'll be up to you how you want to mix the shades together to best fit your skin tone. Now let me be honest, this palette, it's not going to be for everybody. I know not a lot of you use like the brightening powders when you're doing your makeup. You might just reach for the bronzing powders. And so if that's the case, I don't think you need to pick up this palette. Now, if you're one who uses the bronzing and brightening powders, then I think this is a beautiful palette to consider adding to your stash. If you're a fan of Lunar Beauty, which I mentioned this in the beginning, I have yet to meet a product I don't like, this is no different, then I think this is definitely something you're gonna wanna add to your stash. I mean, the packaging alone is so, so cool. But I had a really good experience with this. Now, will I be reaching for this palette a lot? Yes and no. Personally, I'm not one who always reaches for the brightening powders. I'm definitely more bronzing and contouring. That's me, more bronzing than anything. But I do want to start incorporating some of the brightening powders just because I really liked the way it looked under my eye area. So I definitely think I want to add this to my regular makeup rotation. But again, for those of you out there who maybe you're just only interested in a couple shades, you don't really see yourself reaching for the brightening and you don't really want to use this as an eyeshadow palette, then I think this could definitely be a pass. And if there's an eyeshadow palette that you haven't tried from Lunar Beauty, spend your money on that because you definitely won't be disappointed with his eyeshadow palettes. Now, as far as the brushes, I really liked the brushes. I thought they were good quality. They have, again, a nice little weight to them. They don't feel cheap or anything like that. They are synthetic brushes, and I liked the different brushes that I picked up. This is the one that was bundled with the palette. You can get the palette alone without without this brush option, that is $49, and then the bundle option, which I got, I think is $54. Again, the Lunar Beauty website is linked in the description box of this video, so you can check it out and just go find something that you like, that you are going to use. If you know that you're not going to get a lot of use out of this palette, then I would just pass and wait for something else to come out. But let me know your thoughts now. What did you think about this Outer Dimension palette? I mean, I think we can all agree the packaging is A+, but I know what's inside is not going to be for everybody, but I'm anxious to hear your thoughts and what you thought of today's wear test. I want to thank you guys so much for watching another one of my videos. You all have a great day or night, wherever it is you all are at. Stay hydrated, guys. Drink your water. Cheers. And I will see you all very soon. Bye.